Hello everybody, welcome back to British Stand. Today we're going to be taking a look at the interviews, of course, from Jess Phillips over today, of course, as she's been speaking about the whole grooming gang national inquiry, and of course people aren't buying her BS, and she's been exposed for lying and all of the rest of it, but there's quite a lot of different interview clips that we're going to be going through in today's live stream, but let's kind of get into it. The first one that we're going to be watching is Jess Phillips doing her best to play down the Casey report into Pakistani child grooming and making out that she cared about the victims while she voted against national inquiries. And is now only that it's blown up that she's making out like she has always cared. Jess is a part of the problem, and as safeguarding minister, she has failed miserably. Do the right thing, Jess, and resign. Oh, sorry, I got the wrong photo of her. Jess Phillips, for those of you wondering. But let's take a look at this Sky News interview first. There's quite a lot of different clips that we're going to be going through, but let's watch the Sky News one first.
Some people think that all people of Pakistani origin are abusers, and some people think that none of them are. Thinking has got us nowhere. What Baroness Kate, what the ICSA recommendation was that we needed better ethnicity data. We still don't have it. What Baroness Casey has recommended, which we will undertake, is the mandatory recording of ethnicity of perpetrators of child sexual abuse. What she has looked at, admittedly, just in 3 police force areas in the review, found an overrepresentation of Asian or British Pakistani origin males. It doesn't matter how I feel about that. Those are the facts. And if we ignore that, how can we ever come up with solutions?
It feels like at the heart of this is misogyny.
Of course, they're all men, aren't they? That's the other characteristic that all of these abusers have.
And this belief that the girls were, the children, were worthless.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, I think that sometimes in the debate about the ethnicity, which, it has been, that's not new news. This has been written in many reviews over the years. It's just nothing has ever been done about it to improve the data. We will do that. But what often gets lost for me is actually the way we dismiss women's and especially young girls' voices. Treat them as if they're criminals, treat them as if they're, sluts and hussies and they were asking for it. That existed for far too long. And one of the things that we will do off the back of this report, and we're trained to do anyway, is get rid of the convictions for anyone under 18 who was accused of being a prostitute. These are children.
Now, she's doing her best to play it down, guys, but we covered this intensely during February and all of these kind of things, and she was the main one jumping on, talking about it jumping on the far-right bandwagon. She's doing her best to play down the report in that interview and making out that she's always cared about the victims. If she cared so much about the victims back in February when this was all blowing up, in January when this was all blowing up, she would have not voted against a national inquiry. That's what frustrates me the most with regard to the whole of this stuff. Don't go anywhere, guys. We've got some more interviews of Jess Phillips. She's been doing the rounds, of course, as the safeguard minister and the person that she likes to say that she is, someone that's been blowing the trumpet for since the start of time with regard to this. But it's clear as day. She voted against it a couple of months ago. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Let's go into the second clip, which I believe is with regard to Jess Phillips saying that Kemi Badenoch and Liz Truss only raise grooming gangs because it's political to get one over the Labour Party. But it's very, very rich, considering it was Labour that thought it was politically expedient to cover up this for decades. Remember, it was Labour at the end of the day. But let's have a watch of this second interview.
People think that all...
You mentioned the Prime Minister. You will remember that he described the calls back in January for a national inquiry as people jumping on a bandwagon of the far right. When you reflect on that, was that wise?
Look, I think that what the Prime Minister was saying was, this was in the wake of sort of Elon Musk furore, was that the Conservative politicians, Kemi Badenoch, the Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp, that he was saying they were jumping on the bandwagon that of Elon Musk talking about on Twitter. I think it was actually Liz Truss. She gets forgotten in this story. Liz Truss who started it, and then Elon Musk carried it on. Is that he was like, where have you been? You've just been in government. You were the policing minister and the children's minister. Where have you been? And frankly,
but was that a knee-jerk reaction? Simply because they are politicians on the right?
No, I think it's because they're politicians who had never cared and thought it was politically expedient.
So they never cared, but they were the ones that were pushing it forward. You can say what they want about Tories when they were in power and all these kind of things, but this is a Labour thing as well, by the way. They were the ones that voted against the full national inquiry back just a couple of months ago, guys. I'm not talking years ago, it was a couple of months ago. And Jess Phillips was one of those, by the way. Let's just keep on making this very, very clear with regard to Jess Phillips. She was one of them that was saying all this sort of crap. So I don't believe a word that she says. And she's trying to attack other parties and all of the rest of it with regard to this. But it was her and her party that voted against the full national inquiry back a couple of months ago. In this last clip, guys, we've got Jess Phillips basically admitting that Labour did cover up the grooming gangs throughout history over the last couple of years. And as always, she said she never has turned a blind eye. She's the one that should be taking all of the credit for all of this, and she's the one that's cared all the time. Remember, she voted against the full national inquiry a couple of months ago. I need to keep on making this very, very clear because she seems to forget this, and I'm not going to let them forget this. But yeah, this is her basically saying that Labour covered up the grooming gangs. Have a watch of this.
Sorry, when people say you and others in Labour, in the Labour Party, in opposition and in government, have stuck your head in the sand about this.
Well, I mean, that people can. There are undoubtedly people who have. I'm not going to, and Louise Casey finds that, and there is plenty of anecdote, for example, around Anne Cryer, a Labour MP who spoke up about this, being told to keep it quiet by people, from within the Labour Party.
And Maggie Oliver herself, a whistleblower, says Labour and the Tories have both turned a blind eye.
Maggie Oliver is absolutely right. When Sarah Champion came out and spoke about it at the time, I completely and utterly supported her. So yeah, look, people have turned a blind eye. There's I'm not denying that.
Including you?
Absolutely not me. I have never turned a blind eye. I never would shy away from calling a problem what it is.
Absolutely not me. So then why did you vote against the full national inquiry? Again, it just doesn't make any sense with regard to it. I mean, they all follow sort of Keir and all these kind of things. But she's talking about, that she's been she's the main person in this, by the way. It was Tommy Robinson, really, that actually exposed all of this sorts of stuff that was ongoing. And the poor guy's got no credit whatsoever. And since this sort of U-turn that emerged over the last week, Labour have taken no responsibility in terms of apologising for saying it was jumping on a far-right bandwagon. It's a lot of backtracking. Keir's been in interviews as well. He's not really been able to hold accountability for it. And Jess, as always with Jess, she's the absolute hero. She's done nothing wrong. She's the reason why we're here, apparently. Remember, she voted against the full national inquiry a couple of months ago. I really love the cheek and the nerve and the brass neck of some of these Labour MPs that just come out and just think that like everything that's been documented over the last few months has just been completely forgotten. And she just makes out that she's the pillar, that she's the queen with regard to this, and she's the reason why this that these victims are getting justice. It's disgusting. It's sick. It's absolutely disgusting. And she's trying to play and make it about politics in all of her interviews. So, I don't believe any word that she says. And again, playing it down as well, the Casey report as well, is bollocks. It's absolutely bollocks. And I really dislike her. I hate making streams about her, but she's just constantly talking absolute bollocks when she comes on to live television, and she needs to be held to account. But yeah, guys, do let me know your thoughts on this one down there in the comment section below. Let's take some reaction from the live chat before we go. I think we've got a super chat here from Vic. Big shout out to Vic, by the way, $5. Glad to hear something is hopefully being done, but 20 to 30 years of it is just insane. All of those poor children. Absolutely. And remember, it was the Labour government that's in power. They covered it up during that time, and it was this Labour Party a couple of months ago that voted against a full national inquiry. So yeah, again, I'm glad that there's something being done about it. But what I can't stand is Labour MPs, Keir Starmer, and especially Jess Phillips, coming out as if they're some sort of messiah, that they were the reason that this is going ahead. They were the ones that voted against it. And I know I'm repeating myself, and I'll keep repeating myself, but they were the ones that voted against it a couple of months ago. I love these comments about Jess Phillips. Teeth like a witch doctor's necklace. I mean, she has got a face only her mother could love, hey? Jesus Christ. But it's not about her looks. I mean, she isn't blessed with that, but my goodness me. Her incompetence as well, and the ego to it as well is quite alarming, quite frankly. Absolutely disgusting. But as stated, guys, this is not a laughing matter. As whilst I'm taking the piss out of Jess Phillips a little bit, yeah, these poor children, of course, there's a serious matter that's there, that's been covered up, and it's absolutely sick and it's absolutely disgusting. And as I said, the most important thing is getting justice for these victims over the next couple of years, or how long ever it's going to take. But that's the most important thing. But as Vic said, 20 to 30 years too late, ultimately. And as I said, these poor children. These poor children. Some of the shocking stories that you've heard over the last few months as it's been brought to light. But Tommy, again, I feel sorry for the guy. He's done a lot of work on this. 2013 was really talking about it on a BBC live show on television. And again, still getting no credit to this day. At least we know the truth, Tommy. At least we know the truth on that. Lucky Llama says she's incompetent, she's just a coward. She just goes out of her way to have difficult conversations, and anytime she will reframe herself as the victim. She's meant to be a champion of victims. Exactly. I mean, I've never heard her really talk about the victims. There's always her playing victim, you're absolutely correct. And always just trying to make it about herself and try and boost her ego with regard to it, which I don't like at all. Because she's done absolute hee-haw. One of my favourite Scottish sayings. But yeah, guys, I'm not going to keep you long, but we've got quite a lot of content coming up over the day. Probably be back live with a few more things later. But thanks for tuning in. Do let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.